Hello and welcome to Highlights from the Hill, an original HCAM Ed production designed to bring you into the Hopkinton Public Schools systems. I'm Jim Cousins, along with my co-host, Superintendent Carol Kavanaugh, who will bring you interesting people and cool conversation about what's happening inside your public schools. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jim. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited for this. This is our last episode in the Principal series. We started all the way at Marathon, and now here we are at Hopkinton High School.
Yes. So with us today is Evan Bishop, our principal at Hopkinton High School. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Save the best for last, I see.
Absolutely. We worked up to you.
Yes, to the big kids. Yeah.
And we've been in school now. We're starting our 4th week?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes,
So,
we are.
how's it been going at the high school?
Yeah, it's been going well. I think it's been a pretty good start to the school year.
I think it's been great.
Yeah. I mean, you obviously have the ups and downs at the beginning of every school year, but this is my 12th year as principal. And I feel like it has been as smooth as it's been to start a school year. I think the energy and the vibe in the building feels good. Now we're starting to get into class a little bit more. It's not just kind of get to know you at the beginning of the year. Now there's some assessments. I actually was in a class this morning that was doing an in-class write. So things are starting to pick up a little bit.
Very nice.
And then events are starting to happen. We had our first home football game on Friday. So we had a great crowd there. We had back to school night with parents the week before that. So things are moving in the right direction, feeling good. So yeah, knock on wood, they continue.
Very nice.
I think that can't be understated, that the energy in the building, because we had a huge hiccup in the past with the pandemic, and it's been taking a few years for everybody to kind of rebalance. But I do think that I feel this is more like closer to a pre-pandemic type of school year than we've had previously.
It's tough to put your finger on exactly what it is. I know we've been a few years out, I guess, from COVID, and it just feels like whether it is just the maturity of the students, the preparation of the teachers, just kind of where we are as a society, it just feels like we're past that a little bit. And kids are feeling like they're, it seems like a little bit more invested in what they were doing. They're here, the spirit's coming back, and so all those things I think contribute to it.
Yeah.
But I've felt it as well, and it's a good feeling.
Yeah. I don't know if they've done this before. I haven't seen it, but the senior sunrise that they had at school. Talk a little bit about that for people who may not know.
Yeah, sure. So it's one of the new traditions that we're doing with the senior class. We try to do a number of things with the senior class just to kind of celebrate their last year at Hopkinton High School. That's usually that first or second morning of school where the students will come in really early. As you know, I think they started getting there around 5:45. They kind of camp out in the senior parking lot, and there's grills going, there's muffins, bagels, music. Kids are playing frisbee and bago. It's just a nice kind of team building, kind of class building event where they can kind of get ready for the upcoming school year. So I'd say it's about 3 years in we've been doing this.
Okay.
And kids really like it a lot, and then they kind of wear their class t-shirts that day, and it's just a nice spirit builder. And that's something we've been trying to do since COVID, is bring back the spirit. We've been working a lot with our student council, trying to kind of come up with ideas that get the kids invested in coming to events. I talked to other neighboring principals, and there has been kind of a decrease in students being at certain things. And so we're trying to build that back up. It was nice to see so many kids at the football game. We have a unified basketball game this afternoon, which we're really excited about. So hopefully students will be coming to that as well. And so, you try to entice them to come back. You want them to kind of be there to cheer their friends on, their classmates. But it has to come from the students as well. And I think our student council leaders are doing a nice job of putting information out there, as well as the different clubs that we have. I know we've talked about this before. We have over 70 clubs at the high school.
Wow.
And it covers all different types of things. And getting those students involved in being in things, it just adds to the overall experience in the high school.
Yeah. In some ways, those are student generated as well.
Yes, absolutely. Most are. Yeah. Most are. And I think, the longer I do this, the more I feel it's important for the adults to kind of step back and let the students take on these responsibilities, take on these leadership roles. And it's a challenge because they have so many different things going on. You're not just in one club or one sport or you have 7 classes that are demanding. You have probably multiple activities after school. So it is hard for students to take on those leadership roles, but it is important that they get that experience. And so certainly there's adults there to help along the way, but we're trying to kind of pull that scaffolding off and let the students kind of take the lead in some of these events. So it's going well.
So you just got a unified accolade.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. We've been announced as a banner school
Yeah.
with our unified programs in Special Olympics. So it's really exciting. I know our coaches, Chip Collins, Jay Golden, Carrie Simpson, they do such a wonderful job with the group of students. And, it really is one of those events that brings a smile to your face. And I think it's really important for school spirit and just being part of the overall school and being inclusive. And, it's a great honor. I think we, in many ways, we lead in Hopkinton High School on a lot of different fronts, but one of the ones that I'm most proud of is in this category here with Unified and being inclusive and being one of those schools that's recognized outside of the area of being one of the schools that does a really nice job. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
And something we're going to probably try to publicize a little bit more to the community. Tonight's our first home opener basketball game for Unified, but maybe at a game coming up in the next week or so, we'll do kind of a banner ceremony where we'll put it up in the rafters of the athletic center like some of our other banners and have a little bit of a ceremony for that.
Well, I think what's nice about the Unified Games is if people attend, they'll see that there's an incredible fan base.
Absolutely.
I mean, a
Absolutely.
lot of people come to
a
those
lot of
games.
people come to those games. Yeah, and it's great. And I know the athletes really like it a lot. I just saw a few of them in the hallways today asking if we're going to go to the game tonight. And I said, of course we're going to be there. And so we sent out an email to staff. We have a faculty meeting after school today, but hopefully after that, maybe they can pop into the athletic center and watch the athletes play. But yeah, it's definitely something that I feel like is building. A lot of students go to it, a lot of staff go to it, a lot of community members go to it, and it's a great feeling when you're there.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that makes Hopkinton High School so great is that you're never in that place of complacency, right? Like you guys are always doing new things. So what do you have on deck this year?
Yeah,
What's
good
new?
question. Yeah, I think that is something that's important to me, and kind of one of our core values is always trying to get better, always reflecting, and there's a lot of areas we could point at and say, oh, we're doing really well here, we're doing excellent here, but let's dig a little bit deeper. Are there areas in which we can continue to try to improve upon? So I think that is kind of the message that the adults in the building all believe in, and so we're all striving and pushing. And so, at the end of every year, we talk about, okay, what classes are we not running that students want? We ask them for feedback. The staff comes together, and so we've developed a few classes this year that we're excited about. We have a set design class, so students will
I love that.
so students will be helping to kind of build the stage and all of the different materials that are going to go along with the musical coming up in November, the Addams Family musical, which we're excited about. And so that's a new class for kids that are going to use their hands a little bit more. We don't have a ton of opportunities like that. We have our hands-on skills class, robotics, engineering, but we're trying to add more opportunities for students. So I was in that class the other day. We have about 15 students in that class working on. We also have a psychology of well-being class. So our AP psychology class is very popular at the high school. And so we wanted to have just another layer. I think we talk a lot about well-being and stress and mindfulness and all the things that encompass that. And so talking with our history social science department chair, Colleen Cormier, and Mike Hamilton, one of our psychology teachers, we developed this class. So this is our first kind of semester running it. We already have 28 kids signed up for it. So we'll have one section each semester. So we're excited about that class. And then we've revamped our 12th grade English curriculum.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so we used to have different electives that students could sign up for senior year. Could be creative writing, could be literature and war, it could be contemporary literature, multicultural literature, and students would be able to kind of pick and choose their options, which I think is important to have that voice and choice. But for scheduling reasons and to try to be a little bit more consistent and have students kind of get a full picture of all of those electives, we created kind of a 12th grade English. That I don't want to say it's like the greatest hits of each one of those classes, because I know that there are certain classes that are far more kind of part of that curriculum, but there is aspects of each one of those classes in the 12th grade English class. It also brings kind of the different teachers that were teaching that class on a same team together to work with each other, which we value very much at the high school, having kind of that professional learning community environment. I just was in a class this morning where they were kind of analyzing two different texts. So it was enjoyable to see. They're kind of focusing a little bit on multicultural literature at this moment. But we still have creative writing as an elective for students as well as journalism. So there still is that option if students want to dive in a little bit deeper in English.
But it's a both and.
But it's exactly. So those are some of the new courses that we're offering that we're really excited about. We usually do kind of a review middle of the year and then again at the end of the year about what are some of the things that we should be adding to our curriculum. And we've been working together on getting some feedback from students that are graduated from Hopkinton High School,
Yes.
and getting feedback on what their experience was like and how we can improve upon that. And so one question is what classes were not offered. So we'll dig a little bit deeper into that as well, and trying to do whatever we can to meet all of our students' needs when it comes to classes.
Yes. And I've been able to see the curriculum for that new 12th grade English course. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really good.
Oh my gosh, it's great.
Yeah, and kudos to Sarah Ellum and the rest of her senior team and the work that they put in this summer to get this class off the ground. It's been about 1.5 years, 2 years kind of in the making, and so I give them a lot of credit for taking the lead on that.
As Ms. Goldbrod and I were looking at the curriculum there, we were thinking it would be great to enroll in that course.
Yeah, right. There's a lot of classes.
It's that good.
Yeah, there's a lot of classes. Absolutely. Yeah, we're fortunate.
All right.
Yeah, I'd like to follow up on one thing that you said during that whole long paragraph that you just said.
It was too long.
No, it was great. It was great. It was health and wellness, because that's like a massive focus in this school, right? And we talk about flex block, we talk about homework-free weekends. What is your sense on how that's going?
Yeah, I think it's important that it's a focus of ours. It's based on kind of what we've seen from students, what we've heard from students, what we've seen and heard from staff and parents as well. Obviously, Hopkinton High School has high expectations, and we're always striving to be the best. And with that comes stress and anxiety sometimes, and you got to try to find that balance. And it's another one of our core values is trying to find that healthy balance, which is not easy. And so we're always trying to consider ways to try to help students along their journey at the high school. I think the homework-free weekends we've been doing for quite some time now. We usually do 3 to 4 homework-free periods, whether it's long weekends or vacations each semester. And I think that for the most part, that has been well received. I think there are times when there'll be no homework, but there'll be a test when they get back. And so there's those opportunities that we can still kind of fine tune the way we do it, so students can get bombarded when they come back. But generally, I think they enjoy that. I think our flex blocks have been very popular with the students and the staff. I think when we brought that on, I think there was some feelings that maybe we would lose some instructional time. And where on those 2 days, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do have 5 to 10 minute shorter classes, depending. However, the 45 minutes you have with flex block really allows the teacher to work with students who might need a little extra help, or get a group together to do a study session before an upcoming test or quiz. So teachers really have enjoyed it as well. I know I've had other schools come and visit us wanting to transition to a flex block, and they really want to meet with the staff. And they're very impressed when they hear from our staff about how well it's been going. I meet with students quite a bit, and they want more flex blocks. So right now we're sticking to just 2 days a week, but it's certainly something that they would appreciate having more of. So that's a good sign. And we're always looking for ways to try to kind of listen to the students and work with them. Try to help find that balance. I do think that leading up to COVID, we had Challenge Success come to the high school, and tries to help communities like ours kind of find a healthy definition of success. And then COVID hit, and then coming out of COVID, I was hoping to see kind of a little bit less stress and focus on kind of what happens after high school. And unfortunately, it's picked right back up where we felt it was leading up into COVID. So it's still work that we have to do. And I have a 7th grade daughter, so I know that the pressures are there, and trying to get your child to have that resume or that list of activity that's going to look good for whatever they do post high school. But it's also important to have kind of a balance. And be able to enjoy the experience. And so that's one thing. I've heard some feedback from some students where I said, what is one thing you wish you did here at the high school, or a class, or whatever it might be? And I've been surprised how many times I've heard students say, I just wish I had more fun, or at least I took advantage of more things. I was so focused on getting this grade and this classes. And I don't know how you kind of address that, but it's certainly something that we're always talking about.
And don't you wonder if by the time you're a freshman in college, all of that pressure seems to have gone away, and you look around and see where you are, and you think, it's
totally.
Okay, I got here.
I got here,
probably didn't need to worry as much as I did along the way.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like we have students come back, we have parents come back who have had students that have graduated, talk to our current families. But it's easier to say it than when you're not living it, right? Yeah, right. So it's how do we continue to push that, and challenge our kids, but also let them be kids and have a little fun. So that's really kind of that balance we're always trying to strike.
And some of the data that's coming in from our researcher who's working with students who have graduated, I mean, the kids are saying that they felt very cared for at Hopkinton High School. I mean, that's certainly, a feather in the high school's cap.
Yeah, and it's certainly a team effort, because I feel that we've heard for years that they feel academically prepared for the next level, whatever that might be.
Right.
But to also hear that they're feeling like they've been able to develop their own skills to be resilient, to ask for help, those things are just important too. And so to hear that that has been going well, and the things that we've been doing as a school to try to create that, I think are really
Yes.
important. Yeah.
It does feel
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
So I'm curious. You don't need to give away your sources and methods, but like,
Mm.
how do you do what you just talked about? How do you get feedback from the students? How do you connect with past students? Where do you
Yeah,
where
good
do you
question. Yeah.
look for
So
that?
I'll start with the past students. So Dr. Kavanaugh and I have been working with a researcher who has been reaching out on our behalf to the students. So right before they graduate, they fill out kind of an information card, optional, but if they want to kind of be part of a survey and answer some questions, we had a pretty large group of students that were interested in being part of that.
Yes.
The last 2 years. So we have the group that's I guess would be the class of 2023 that we've been surveying, as well as we're just going to be starting with the class of 2024. And so not everybody responds to the survey because it's we don't get to see them all the time.
Yeah.
But we've been getting some good responses. And then with the current students, I think it's just being visible and being approachable, and also being open to feedback. And know that, even though I've been doing this for a number of years, there's areas in which I can improve and that we can improve as a school. So taking no offense to any critical feedback, I think is really important. I sent out an email to the students recently about joining what we call the Principal's Cabinet. So it's a group of students that I meet with once a month. And we typically have had it be a group of the student council students. So every class at the school has about 10 members. So it makes it about 40 kids in the student council. So I would take about 12 of those kids and kind of hear what's going on with student council and then, help them plan events. But I'm at a lot of the student council morning meetings, so I already kind of knew what's happening. So that meeting, I was like, all right, we got to do something different with the principal's cabinet. And so based on their feedback as well, I was like, I'm going to send it out to the whole school and have it be as many voices as possible. Maybe students who are not already in leadership roles, not already captains of teams, but students who want to be part of something that aren't already in these categories. And so we sent an email and I had 100 plus responses, which is great, but it was a difficult problem to then have to pick smaller groups, right? But some of those 100 were already students that were in certain roles. So I said, all right, we're going to go with students who, are looking to take on some different leadership opportunities, and I want to hear their voices. And so we have an 11th and 12th grade cabinet made up of about 20 students, and a 9th and a 10th grade made up of 20 students. We have our first meeting coming up on Friday for the 11th and 12th grade students. And so we have a few different agenda topics, but a lot of it is around continuing to build kind of school spirit, kind of how to find that healthy balance with stress, and how to get every voice heard in school. And so it'll be eye-opening for me. Like I'll think we're doing things like, oh, we're doing this well, we're going to do this well. And then when we sit down with the students, we're like, oh, okay, that's a good point I never thought of. And so that's the beauty of working with high school students is they have such great opinions and thoughts. And to get them in the room and hopefully they'll feel comfortable in there and we'll have a really nice conversation about how to improve things. Now, some things we can do right away. Some things we might never be able to do, but we'll have an honest conversation about what's doable, what's not doable, and how we can work together. And so, I think we've tried to establish that. Teachers at the end of their classes will send out feedback survey to the students about how my class was. And it models kind of being like, all right, I want the feedback, I want to improve. I do that with the staff. Mr. Palmerville, Ms. Tyson, I send 2 surveys, one in the beginning of the year, one in the middle of the year, one at the end of the year to get feedback on how we're doing. And so I think if you're genuine about the feedback and then actually try to do something with that feedback, then I think students will see that and be like, all right, we can provide this feedback. And so I think it's been a while. I think it's been something we've had to kind of create, kind of that culture. We talk a lot about culture at the high school. And so I think that is, the best ways to get feedback. And I think our kids are really smart and articulate and are willing to do that. So it's nice.
Yeah. So one other change for this year is parking.
Yes.
How's that
parking.
going?
Yeah. Parking and cell phones. I can talk about both of them if you like. Yeah. I think it's going as well as it probably can be going. Obviously, when you have a school of almost 1,300 kids, 1,280 plus, or whatever it is, 1,270, and the complex was built not expecting to have that many students with the parking spots, and classes are bigger than 350 in a class, and we only really have 260 spots for students. You can start to see the problem coming, right? And so, some students carpool, some students get dropped off, some can walk, but we really needed to kind of put a little focus and attention on the parking situation. It was kind of a little bit of a free-for-all the last few years, and We got a lot of feedback from students about that. And so we went through the process of meeting with our buildings and grounds people and students, and decided to kind of, actually the teachers union as well, and we numbered the spots. So every staff member now has a spot or a lot in which they should be parking in. Same thing goes with our seniors. So the hope is that every senior who wants a spot, we will do our best to try to create that. Underclassmen will kind of get the leftover spots. 10 years ago, totally different. Most of the seniors and juniors could park. It's just not, unfortunately, the way it can go now. But right now, we've also instituted school-based parking tickets. So in the past, it would be through the police department. And, we felt like we maybe to relieve some of that stress on the police department and also an opportunity for us to be out there more often. We have our campus aide driving around and giving out tickets. And then that, if you get a ticket, unfortunately, then it goes on your My School Bucks, and then that money is going to be used to help improving the school in some way, shape, or form. And so we gave a lot of tickets the first week, but that started to decline. I think students have got the message like, oh, they're serious about this, and they've started to abide by the parking. So that's been good.
Great.
So not perfect, certainly something we're still going to continue to look at, but I think we've been pleased with how it's going so far.
Yes, far less chaotic.
Far less chaotic.
Yes.
And you can even feel it too in the morning. There's fewer tardies. It just feels a little
that
bit
feels
like,
nice.
okay, this is, obviously traffic isn't great. I understand that, but our tardy numbers are down.
Mm-hmm.
And right now I feel like we've gotten less students and staff complaining about people parking in the wrong spot. So that has been good.
Yes.
And then the cell phone was also something we talked a lot about with the staff, but also with the students. And so we have a very similar policy to the middle school. In the past, before this year, was very much teacher discretion. The teacher wanted to have the students put the phones away. They could have it out if they wanted to. It all depended on what the teacher wanted, although we provided each staff member with a cell phone holder, which is kind of this, it's tough to describe, but it's like this thing that hangs over the door that has about 30 to 40 slots where you can put your phone. And so every classroom had it, and then at the end of last year, there was a lot of conversations that they should just be a universal policy as opposed to teacher, because it was confusing for students.
Sure.
And so we said that every class, the phones need to go away once you get into class. And so that has, for the most part, gone pretty well. We've only heard, there's been a few conversations I've had with students and families about the importance of putting it away. Obviously, there's extenuating circumstance for an issue. We will deal with that. We'll let the teacher know. And we've had a lot of students actually, although I won't say their names because they wouldn't want that, but say that they've actually appreciated the fact that the phones are away and they can focus a little bit more. And, I think that has also decreased just the regular kind of bathroom traffic. Students kind of texting one another, hey, let's meet up and walk around the school for a little bit, stretch our legs. That has decreased a little bit as well, according to our campus aides. So it's about kind of instruction and focusing on being engaged in class, and so far it's worked. So fingers crossed that
I
continues.
do feel like it would have to be a relief for kids.
Yeah. I think it is. They don't want to admit it.
That's right.
But
yes.
for the most part,
Yes.
I think that they appreciate the fact that they are. Yeah, and I know the teachers do as well.
Yeah. I mean, then you can just concentrate on whatever
Exactly.
that teacher is doing with the 20 kids in the classroom. So,
Exactly. And then you have 5 minutes between classes. You can check your phone. At lunch, you can check your phone before and after school. Then when you're in class, that door shuts. We want you to be focused and be part of that lesson.
And you know that I'm very in tune to, how are those phones impacting the brain? How are they impacting kids' psychological wellness?
Totally.
And so I do feel like we've made a very good choice.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about this, and I may have sent it on the last time we sat around this setting here with some other principals. But there is a lot of data out there and a lot of information about how much will be, how many texts, how many alerts, how many notifications will pop up on a student's phone in an hour period of time. And no one can stay focused with all those things popping up. It's tough to blame them for not being focused. So removing that temptation has just been really, it's gone well so far.
Right. And it's one of the things where you just never know until they do it.
Yep.
Because if they're on their phone during the day, it's just like they're on their phone at home or anywhere else. But then when they can't be on their phone, it's like, oh wow, there is cool stuff going on in this class, and I can get engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
And it's totally off different subject because you've always appeared to me to be the biggest HHS cheerleader. You're always positive. You're always interested in engaging like that. So you mentioned you've been here. This is your 12th year. Where did you come from? What did you do before that?
Well, so I started here as a school counselor back in 2005, 2006. It was my first job out of grad school.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Fairfield University studied sociology, and actually in my second semester of my senior year, I did an internship at Fairfield Prep in their academic support kind of area.
Mm-hmm.
And I really enjoyed that. After my aspirations of playing in the NFL went down, I had to figure out what I was going to do. And so I really enjoyed that. I wanted to coach in some capacity. And my mother at the time was the co-director of graduate admissions at Suffolk University. And so, I did a few interviews in, certain areas of finance that I said, I don't know if this is going to be for me, and then enrolled in a school counseling program, master's program at Suffolk. And so that was a 2-year program. I did 1 year of my internship pre-practicum at Dedham High School, and I really enjoyed it. Actually, my supervisor went out on maternity leave, so I was kind of hired as a guidance counselor at whatever it was, 23 years old or 22 years old. So that was an interesting experience. And then I interviewed around and got the job here in Hopkinton, and I've been here ever since. So I spent 4 years doing that. I coached football and baseball and lacrosse. And then I was the assistant principal for a few years. And then here I am. Principal.
I got to tell you, knowing that you were a counselor all makes sense now. I can actually see that in you. That's really cool.
And you're going to hit your 20-year anniversary
I know.
very
At
soon.
the end of this year, yeah, I guess so.
Wow.
Yeah, scary.
All right, so we get just about a minute left. Is there
Okay.
anything else that we want to wrap up? Do you have any final questions?
I don't know. Do you have something that is just totally Hopkinton High School standout?
We're having our goals meetings right now with our staff members. It's kind of part of our process. We sit down, we talk about what they want to focus on for the year. And one thing that we are discussing, and a lot of teachers are coming to us wanting to do, is to get into each other's classrooms. We did that prior to COVID. I thought it was a great culture builder, kind of learning from your colleagues. Maybe you want to see a student that you have in class, how they interact with the teacher in another subject, another discipline. So getting teachers out into each other's classrooms, learning from each other, to me is exciting. I think it builds that culture of having a professional learning community. So it might not be the best, most exciting thing for the community, but I think within our school, it's really something that I'm excited about. As well as just continuing to build our school spirit and culture. I'm excited about the principal's cabinet. We have 40 new members that are excited to bring different ideas to the table. And we have 8 new staff members that have been doing great so far. I'm excited about kind of helping them along the process and the journey. So there's a ton. I mean, I go on and on.
Evan, Carol, thank you so much for being here. It's been a great conversation, and thanks for all that you do. Hey, thanks for making the show with us.
Hey, thank you.
All right. And I will see you next time on Highlights from the Hill. Take care.